Picture the vastness of South America as a stage, thousands of miles of challenging roads, dust, darkness, and adrenaline pumping through the veins of competitors from around the globe. We are in 1978, in the heart of one of the most brutal automotive events ever conceived, the Vuelta a la América del Sur International Rally. But amidst the fierce competition and the endurance of machines and men, something inexplicable was about to happen, an anomaly that would tear through the fabric of known reality, leaving behind more questions than answers, and forever marking the history of motorsport with an otherworldly mystery. This is the story of Carlos Acevedo and Miguel Ángel Moya, two ordinary men thrown into an event that defies physics itself. The year was 1978. The Automobile Club Argentino issued a monumental challenge, the Vuelta a la América del Sur. Over 100 teams representing 15 nations lined up their cars, many of them common vehicles, handcrafted for the epic journey. The route? An astonishing distance of nearly 600, winding through 10 countries, from Buenos Aires to Caracas, crossing jungles, mountains, and plains over 39 exhausting days. Most of the driving was done at night, a measure to avoid daytime traffic, but one that added an extra layer of danger and isolation to the precarious roads riddled with obstacles. It was the ultimate test of endurance, navigation, and luck. Among the competitors was the Chilean duo, Carlos Acevedo, a successful 38-year-old businessman, passionate about cars and fulfilling a dream at a considerable personal expense, and Miguel Ángel Moya, an exceptional 28-year-old mechanic, specializing in French cars. Fate brought them together shortly before the race when Moya fixed a mechanical problem in Acevedo's Citroën GS that no one else could. Initially, on board as a support mechanic, Moya found himself promoted to co-driver mid-competition when the original navigator dropped out. Without GBIS, Moya's role was vital, deciphering maps, guiding Acevedo through the darkness, and ensuring they passed through the crucial checkpoints. Despite their recent partnership, camaraderie blossomed in the immensity of the journey. The race pressed on. It was September, toward the second to last day of the event. The stage connected Comodoro Rivadavia to Bahia Blanca in Argentina. Over 675 miles lay ahead. An estimated 18-hour drive of pure tension and fatigue. Around 2:30 a.m. as they tore through the night near the town of Viedma, at the kilometer 808 marker, something broke the monotony of the darkness. An intense light appeared in the rearview mirror, approaching at breakneck speed. At first, they thought it was another competitor, perhaps the powerful German Mercedes with its multiple headlights. Carlos, driving, kindly moved over to let them pass. But the light didn't overtake. Instead, it hovered behind, and suddenly it enveloped the Citroën in a blinding glare, yellowish, sometimes violet. The intensity was overwhelming. Obscuring the view of the car's own hood, heat began to emanate from the light source. The car's engine died. And then, the unthinkable, the car began to rise. Acevedo, confused, thought he'd hit a bump bracing for the impact of the descent, but the impact never came. The car continued to ascend. "What's happening?" he shouted, panic setting in. Moya, beside him, realized they were floating. He tried to open the door, but it was jammed, sealed by an invisible force. Their next conscious memory was equally surreal. They were no longer in the car, but being pulled by an unknown force along an immaculately white long corridor flanked by numerous doors. Humanoid figures, short, about 4 feet tall, with disproportionately large heads, moved hastily, entering and exiting the doors, seemingly oblivious to their presence. Paralyzed from the neck down but able to move their heads, Acevedo and Moya were led to the end of the corridor, emerging into a circular room with a domed ceiling. There, 2 of these beings awaited them. A rectangular, metallic device floated towards them. From it, 2 smaller metallic spheres emerged, which began to rotate and meticulously pass around their bodies as if performing a detailed scan. The sensation was clinical, cold, alien, and then, in the blink of an eye, reality folded again. They were back in the Citroën. The blinding light still enveloped them. Seconds later, a jolt, the impact of the car hitting the ground again. The light began to dim, receding like an orange cone ascending westward until it vanished into the night. The silence in the car was heavy, broken only by ragged breathing. Carlos floored the accelerator, fleeing that haunted spot. Only when they felt safe miles down the road did they pull over, the car intact. But the reality around them seemed distorted. The entire experience felt like it lasted a mere 5 minutes in their perception. 5 minutes of terror and awe. But upon reaching the first gas station for help in the town of Pedro Luro, the truth hit them like a shockwave. They were about 43 miles away from the point where the light had intercepted them. To cover 43 miles in 5, perhaps 10 minutes on those roads with that car? Physically impossible. Not even pushing the Citroën to its absolute limit could achieve such a feat. It would require speeds exceeding 240 mph. The shock was devastating, especially for Miguel Moya. He began to shake uncontrollably, his face pale, bathed in cold sweat. His gaze lost in the void. He could barely speak. The gas station attendant, Eduardo Alberto, was the first to help them, finding an elated yet terrified Carlos and a catatonic Miguel. The police were called. Sergeant Jose Bordenave answered the call. The story sounded delusional, but the genuine state of shock of the 2 men was undeniable. Something traumatic had occurred. Bordenave logged the case and, crucially, inspected the car. The finding was disturbing. The Citroën's odometer had not registered the 43 miles between Viedma and Pedro Luro. It was as if the car had simply skipped that stretch. The testimony of another competitor, Edmundo Carvajal, added another layer to the enigma. Carvajal saw Acevedo and Moya's car shortly before the incident. He followed them to a curve, and after it, the Citroën simply vanished. The following straightaway was over a mile long. The headlights should have been visible. There were no signs of an accident. Carvajal and others took over an hour to cover the same stretch that Acevedo and Moya apparently crossed in minutes. The rally organization also investigated. There were 3 mandatory checkpoints in that 43-mile segment. None of the support crews at those points saw the Citroën pass. Without the checkpoint stamps, and with the odometer discrepancy, the duo was disqualified under suspicion of attempting to cheat by taking a shortcut. But what shortcut? The region only had that one road. Any detour would mean rough, impassable terrain at night and would certainly take much longer. The disqualification seemed like a convenient way to dismiss the inexplicable. Still shaken, but determined to finish the race, Acevedo and Moya requested a police escort for the final leg. The officer accompanying them reported the pair's panic at the mere sight of a truck's headlights behind them. It took Miguel Moya over 24 hours to stop shaking. Shortly after, according to reports, government agents approached the pair. They were subjected to exams, their racing suits confiscated, the car inspected. They received a clear warning: silence. Miguel Moya complied. He retreated to the countryside, opened a new workshop, and tried to erase the event from his IPA, carrying the trauma in secret for over 2 decades. Only in 1999, after much persistence, did he grant a single, brief television interview. Carlos Acevedo, on the other hand, refused to be silenced. He wasn't seeking fame, but rather for the truth, however bizarre, to come out. He spoke to the press, shared the terrifying details. His story spread worldwide, attracting international attention, including from figures like Steven Spielberg. Tragically, in 1987, 9 years after the event that marked his life, Carlos Acevedo died in a traffic accident. The Acevedo and Moya case was initially classified as a close encounter of the third kind by CIFORA, the Argentine Committee for UFO Studies. Theories about wormholes or space-time warps emerged to try to explain the inexplicable 43-mile jump in minutes. However, in 2020, the same CIFORA controversially reclassified the case, citing a lack of physical evidence, an absence of radiation, marks on the car, or alterations in the medical exams, the results of which, it's worth noting, were never fully public. Despite the official reclassification, the temporal anomaly remains a ghost-haunting logic. Multiple witnesses, other racers, the attendant, the police officer corroborate the timeline that defies the laws of physics as we know them. What really happened on that cold Patagonian morning? Were Carlos Acevedo and Miguel Moya victims of an alien abduction, instantly transported by technology beyond our comprehension? Or is there another, perhaps even stranger, explanation for the lost time and the impossibly covered distance? This remains one of the most enigmatic and disturbing chapters, not only in ufology, but in the history of motorsport itself. A reminder that perhaps we are not alone, and the boundaries of our reality might be more flexible than we imagine. And what do you think about this incredible story? Did you already know about the Acevedo and Moya case? Do you believe in the possibility of a close encounter during a rally? Leave your opinion in the comments. Let us know if any details were missed. Your participation is crucial. And if you enjoy unraveling these mysteries with us, don't forget to leave a like. It's a simple, free gesture, but it helps us immensely to bring these investigations to more people and continue our work here at Alien Cases.